Hi, I'm really excited to talk to you about KPIs, OKRs, metrics. Let's do this. So, many of you know probably that KPIs stand for Key Performance Indicator. We're going to go through this presentation, and I want you to come away with the fact that it also can mean Key Predictive Indicator. The reason we mean this is that leading and lagging can be completely different, right? If it's predictive, that means it's going to be leading, something at the beginning that we could potentially change before it's completely done. Performance or performative or key performance indicator, meaning it's lagging. With that, I want you to get introduced to this concept of a funnel. Very specifically, at the top of the funnel and all throughout the funnel, you're going to have predictive leading indicators that are still things that if you change other indicators or you change some of the things you're doing, it means that change can happen. And this is important. Whereas the bottom of the funnel, that performance indicator, is something that is a result. It's a measured thing that has already been done. I always love to think about this very specifically as a startup. Any money that's in the bank that you got paid by a customer, that is a very lagging indicator. Any of the steps that you did before then, those are all leading indicators. So let's take a couple of funnels to walk through the process and see if you can grasp it. Specifically, let's use a sales funnel. This is a bit more of a B2B sales funnel. We'll do a different funnel after this. But as you can see here, at the top of the funnel is our total addressable market. As we think about our total addressable market, there are probably only a few identified leads that we can specifically talk to at this time. What we're going to do is we're going to reach out to those leads, we're going to qualify them. And through that qualification, we're going to understand if they're truly a lead or not. Ultimately, those qualified leads may start off with a pilot. They may start off with a free trial or freemium. That means that they're going to be using the product, but not yet paying for it, which means as a user, very specifically, right? There's a great transition moment when a user transitions and converts to a customer. Once again, user to customer is a key conversion moment. Now, ultimately, we want to retain those customers as much as possible and make them lifetime customers. With that, let's think about it this way. Very specifically, we have a total addressable market, and let's say we start off with 1,000 identified leads. And we go through and we have a 10% conversion moment from identified to qualified, and even more so from users and customers. So we start with 1,000, we go to 100, and from that 100, we go to 10, maybe ultimately getting us to one lifetime customer. That's a lot of effort along the way. Imagine we optimized for qualifying at a better pace, or really being very specific about the types of leads we're going to take in. Maybe let's think that we had 100 qualified leads instead. And with that 100 qualified leads, we converted again at a 10% ratio from 100 qualified leads to 10 customers and one ultimate lifetime customer. That ratio is much better. It's much more efficient. And truly, we're talking to the right customers. You can even imagine how this would get even better if you had 10 qualified leads and one of them went to a lifetime customer. So think of those conversion moments at the top of the funnel as some of your leading indicators. Those changes can still happen. And more so specifically at the bottom, that lifetime customer is a lagging indicator. I want to show with you that you can apply funnels to all parts of your business. We've talked about revenue generation previously and usage and product. Let's also think about, we're startups, right? We're thinking about ways to manage our expenses. That can be thought about even in how you do hiring. We all have heard and thought about, hire fast, fire fast, or hire slow, fire fast. Specifically, what that's getting at as a mantra is specifically that you, as a founder, as an operator, right, you're trying to maximize the amount of productivity that your team can be doing while minimizing maybe churn on those employees, or more so specifically, churn that causes something that would mean that you'd have to rehire. With that, let's also talk about the practice of KPIs. You can set your KPIs, you can relate them into your OKRs, but more so specifically, it's really important to develop them track them, compare them, share them. Why? Because you're going to be refining those KPIs all throughout. And to my next point, let's talk about doing it consistently. There are a lot of KPIs that you can specifically have. This is just a quick snapshot of them. And more so specifically, let me give you a couple of things to think about when you're communicating those KPIs to key stakeholders. First off, I'm not a big fan of having anything called like a multiplier or a percentage. You're not sharing those underlying numbers with your investors, and it can be misleading. So let's imagine that you say that you converted 100% of your users to customers. In that regard, 100% of what? Did I take it from 1 to 2, or did I take it from 1 million to 2 million? That is a drastically different conversion. And even more so, you're almost bearing the lead if you've done 1 million to 2 million customers, right? So think about these are great. They're awesome for catching things at the top of an investor update, but more so specifically, they are not what you want to be communicating to those investors. Give them the underlying numbers, don't give them a multiplier, and don't give them a percentage. Furthermore, it's really about the larger narrative. So let's talk about how you're doing your KPIs and who you're communicating it to. Specifically, think about who is the audience for your KPIs and those messages and those updates that you're going to be sending. More so specifically, why are you reporting to them? Are you reporting in a daily stand up to your team so that you all can feel energized and accountable? Are you reporting in a weekly roll up to management or having your reports do that? Or are you then maybe doing a monthly that goes to your mentors, your advisors, key external stakeholders? And when you're doing an update to your investors, it's always good to keep a cadence as well. That can be determined with you and your investors on what you think is the right thing to do. Even more so on top of it, after defining the audience, make sure you know not just why you're reporting to them, but it's what you're sharing with them. And often, how often do you want to touch base with them? As we shared, there's a little bit of cadence that you can find with that, but it will all end up being to the ultimate of why you want to communicate with them. So, specifically, let's have a little bit of a fun moment. Imagine you're a founder, right? You've been creating these dots amazingly. These could be all of the KPIs that are done by your team. What you want to do when communicating, not just for your team, but your external stakeholders, whether they're mentors or their advisors, and potentially investors, especially prospective investors, is you want to zoom out. So I happen to have been an art history major, and this is always a bit of fun for me. This is a zoomed in version of Georges Seurat's Le Grand Jatte in the Art Institute of Chicago. Many of you know it to look like this. But as founders, we can think about the exact same exercise that Seurat did in this excerpt, right? We have ultimately lots of KPIs that we're paying attention to every single day. We're tracking them. We're using phenomenal tools built by Google and otherwise to be able to do that. We then zoom out so importantly, and especially if we're ramping up from a fundraise or to a fundraise, we're going to be creating this beautiful picture of what we've been building with our teams. Now, it's a beautiful picture, but imagine you fall off on that discipline, that cadence, and all of a sudden, this is what your perspective, especially, and your current investors are seeing. They're seeing nothing. Their previous iteration of this is a beautiful picture. Everything is potentially wonderful or not. It's always good to share. And so when you get to this moment, realize that you've left them in a moment in time. And it's so important for you to come back and make sure that you're sharing it with them. So with that, let's talk about a couple of easy best practices. Number one, procrastination is your biggest enemy. If you're super early days, use a Google Sheet, use a form, get that information somewhere in there. Use a lot of different tools. There's many of them out there to start aggregating that. You're going to want to make sure that you can then have organizational alignment. So share those KPIs with your key stakeholders and specifically make sure that you're practicing. Practice does make perfect, but more so to what we said earlier, make sure that you're being able to align your entire organization and the rest of it, your extended stakeholders and all of that, all the way through. This is something I've always said from the beginning. Smart growth starts early. So, with that, think about your KPIs, think about where you're tracking them, think about how you're going to be sharing them with your teams, your external stakeholders, and especially with those prospective and current investors. Thank you so much for this time. We're excited to talk to you about this more.